It's 2 p.m. Good afternoon and welcome to Market View. This is the Monday edition. Thank you for tuning in to watch us on our YouTube page. We are at Eswatini TV. We're on DSTV as well, channel 286. Today, business journalist Nelson Mandla had a sit-down interview with the Eswatini National Youth Council CEO on the Mindset Challenge. This is they're targeting over 2,000 youth to join this program. It aims to provide knowledge on entrepreneurship for young people in Eswatini. She had a sit down with the CEO this afternoon. Stay tuned for this interview. And also, the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manqoba Khumalo, officially launched the handicraft policy this afternoon. Stay tuned for the story. Let's go straight to it. A 348 million Eswatini National Handicraft Sector Policy has been launched by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade. Speaking at the George Hotel in Manzini during the launch, the Minister, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, says the 2024-2030 policy will focus on 6 priority areas, which include value creation, sustainability and innovation.
The handicraft sector policy states that at least 47.6% of handicraft artisans cannot survive with the revenue generated from their handicraft businesses, whilst 29.9% barely make ends meet and 21.8% need additional resources to survive. According to the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, these are some of the reasons that necessitated the development of the policy, which will create an enabling environment for the sector.
And this comprehensive strategy provides a roadmap for the sector's development and a framework for collaboration between government, the private sector, and civil society. It also aims to increase access to finance, to improve access to markets, to improve capacity for our handicrafters, and to also actively promote the products that are proudly made here in Eswatini. It is for that reason that the ministry undertakes to increase the trading space in our Manzini trading hub. We'll be working to ensure that over the next 2 years that space is doubled in size. Not only that though, we also want to look at how we can continue to build such structures in each of the 4 regions, because it has proven to be a resounding success and it promotes this particular sector effectively. We also want to learn from our past mistakes as we bring new policies to guide and govern how our trading house, which once aggregated all the products made by Maswati and sold those to the rest of the world. We know what mistakes were made and we want to learn from those mistakes and improve the policy framework around that, so that we can really increase exponentially the amount of handcrafted materials that go to the rest of the world. But our policies will ensure that the handcrafters are the ones that benefit majorly from the trade.
Taiwan supported the development of the policy, and the Ambassador Jeremy Liang says Eswatini signed an agreement with Taiwan on handicraft in 1973.
Under that agreement on handicraft technical cooperation, the Taiwan Technical Mission staff worked hand in hand with the National Handicraft Training Center from 1973 to 2015, conducting and implementing various training programs, including leathercraft, fine arts, wood carving, and ceramic work. More than 1,000 students have graduated from these courses at the center. And most of them now have either become employee or self-employed, thereby improving their living standards.
The 2021 Labor Force Survey states that craft and related trade workers account for 10.3% of the share of employment in the country and support the livelihoods of rural communities. For Market View, Nelswendla Ngamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
Local businesses have an opportunity to be supported by the International Finance Corporation, and Business Eswatini has said it will ensure that this happens. The President Mvuselelo Fagute said this when sharing outcomes of private sector day by the corporation and Business Eswatini last week.
It's a demonstration of the country's relationship with the World Bank in a way to bring their private sector arm to engage with the private sector and allow for private sector entities to access funding in addition to local banks, also from the International Finance Corporation. We deliberated a lot on multiple industries and sectors, but most importantly, the IFC was introducing itself to the private sector in Eswatini. They don't have enough projects currently that they fund in the kingdom. Actually, the team that came in country, some of them are based in Pretoria, some of them are based in Mozambique, that look after Eswatini as well. They are looking for opportunities to partner with the private sector, as they are the private sector wing. The World Bank has done a lot of projects with the government for many years, and there isn't a single private sector initiative. So it was more to understand their product offering, but also because they are not a local bank, they fulfill their mandate through local banks, which is why access banks were there as well to understand what their offering is and how we can partner with them. But from a private sector perspective, it was good to know that our members in Business Eswatini and the Maswati at large in the private sector can also have access to this type of funding, in particular those areas that the current commercial banks struggle with in terms of financing, whether they are high risk or they are new initiatives that commercial banks cannot take risk in. Like, for instance, if you think about the South African solar energy projects, they were initially funded by the IFC many years ago by the private sector in South Africa before the commercial banks took over and started funding them once they understood the risk profile. So the IFC generally looks at high risk but high impact projects that create jobs that are very meaningful to each economy in which they can introduce their funding. So having them on board in Eswatini is very good for the Kingdom of Eswatini and our members in the private sector. So we look forward to a real partnership with the IFC that can enable access to funding for Swazi businesses. There were many areas that we explored that they presented to us in terms of their areas of interest. Energy is one of them where they're interested in. SME is another area that they're interested in. So we did not necessarily reach resolutions, but we opened the doors for collaborations.
And that's it for our business news. It's 8 minutes after 2. After the break, Nelson sits down with the Eswatini National Youth Council CEO.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. The Eswatini National Youth Council is targeting 2,000 youth under the Mindset Change program in the next 2 years. This was revealed by the Chief Executive Officer Lwazi Mamba when detailing his action plan since taking office 4 months ago. Business journalist Nelson Langamandla sits down with the CEO, who promises to make sure youth voices are heard and valued whilst creating a foundation for innovation, creativity, and social responsibility.
Mr. Mamba, welcome to the show. It's been 4 months since you've taken office. I would say yours is a mammoth task. Youth unemployment remains high in the country. What strategies do you have in place to address this issue?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think this is indeed a very, very big task, but I'm happy that I'm not going to be facing it alone, because as I'm joining this institution, I'm finding very, very capable people that have been working. The team is very, very capable and eager to work. And as we talk about the challenges that are facing the youth, especially that of unemployment, it's a very, very serious challenge. And no one institution can really tackle it. It requires coordination, and it requires commitment from all angles, from government angle, from development partners, but also from the young people themselves. So yes, we are up for the challenge. We are up for the challenge. One program that I found very interesting was, as I'm coming into office, is a program called Positive Mindset Change. This is a program that is somehow coming based on the need by the young people. As the council was working with young people, they found that a majority of the young people, especially those that are just coming out of school, maybe not that much ready for developing themselves further in terms of finding job opportunities, or even those that are finding job opportunities, you find that they start and the businesses fail, not because the businesses are not viable, but maybe because they are not ready. They need some kind of hand-holding such that they are able to progress. So this is a program that we are working on to develop a manual, because it was started last year in terms of training the young people, but we use consultants for that program. But now we want to build the capacity of the council, the officers within the council, such that we have a manual. We then reach out to the young people from the communities in the whole regions of the country to make sure that the young people are somehow, as they come out of school, they are ready to look for job opportunities, and they are also ready to start and to run their businesses. The government have put together some efforts like the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund, and we want that each and every young person that gets an opportunity to apply for the fund, they are ready to run the businesses as they are supported by the fund. So that is one of the things that as a council we are going to intensify working on. Another challenge that we see the young people struggling with is that of accessing finance. Be it the development funds that have been put in place by government, be it financed by the private sector. It's a challenge that the young people are facing to access finance. So we are trying to work with our financiers to see how can we better assist them to understand the proposals that are brought forth by the youth. What flexibilities can they put in place such that the young people, as they apply, they are flexible as financiers to accommodate the young people. So it's one of the aspects that we are working on. But we also realize that it's not every young person that is finance ready. Some of the proposals that they bring may need some kind of incubation, may need some kind of hand-holding. So as a council, we see the need of working with the government and also with development partners to provide some kind of an incubation program that goes beyond just training the young people on entrepreneurship, but it goes as far as giving them some seed capital. And this is something that the council has piloted with the support of the Republic of China in Taiwan. They call the project Insiga Yelusasa Lensha project. So this was a project that was giving some seed capital to the young people to say, even though they may not be finance ready, but they need to be supported with seed capital. And so this is somehow targeting those that are in the vocational training in the different institutions of the country. We want to give them some startup kits to see if they are able to create some job opportunities for themselves as young people, and also to create some job opportunities for other young people in their communities. Here we will be targeting fields like carpentry, like plumbing, mechanical engineering. But also agriculture has been seen as a low-hanging fruit for job creation in the country. So agriculture is one of the sectors that we are earmarking as the council to really focus in terms of supporting the young people under agriculture. It will be through the incubation program and also supporting with some startup or seed capital. We don't intend to end there. We intend to also go beyond in terms of mentorship of the young people as they are working on their projects.
There are different youth organizations in the country, CEO. We've got the Youth Chamber of Commerce, Industries Eswatini. We've got SNICA, which is a Cooperatives Alliance for Young People. How well do you work with them in order to address the challenges that are faced by the youth? Because I believe they understand them well.
Okay. As a council, we have been given the responsibility to coordinate initiatives that are aimed at supporting the youth. And we've been given the responsibility to organize the youth into structures that enable them to understand the issues on the ground and also to address them together. So we are also saying nothing for the youth without the youth. So with the groups of the young people that are already organized, it's making now the work of the council very, very easy. Already, the groups that you've just mentioned, they are part of the structures that are working with the council. But remember, the government had established what we used to call the Ingundla Youth Associations. In each Ingundla, there were youth associations there. These were structures that were somehow placed there to make sure that the issues of the youth, the voice of the youth, emanates from the local areas and is understood at national level, and issues at national level go back to the local areas. So we intend to also revive those structures of the youth. You remember also there is what we call the youth centers, the buildings that were built long time ago. Most of them are no longer functional. So the aim is through the youth structures and the youth associations at local level, we would like to work with the different development partners to revive those centers, to operationalize those centers. It may not be one size fits all. You may find that in Ingundla A, they may want to focus on health issues, and maybe on Ingundla B, they may want to focus on entrepreneurship issues to operationalize their youth centers. But the aim is those centers, they need to be revived and to be operationalized by the youth for the youth. Yeah.
I want to go to the issue of the Mindset Change Program, CEO. In the post-COVID-19 recovery plan, it was stated that this is an issue that should be addressed swiftly. Are there any specific timelines maybe that you have set to achieve all these things that you have talked about in your strategy?
The council has been running with it for the past 2 years. And now the target is now to develop an in-house manual and to have in-house officers that are going to deliver on the training without relying on external consultants to deliver it. So already we are happy that Cabinet has approved the Cabinet paper that helps us now to develop the manual. And by the end of this upcoming financial year, we are looking up to about 2,000 young people having already been undertaken through the training. So we have got some targets in terms of numbers and then also in terms of the timeline. And we would like to work with development partners that are already working with the youth, such that the youth that are benefiting on the different development projects in the country are enrolled in this mindset change program. But also those that are not earmarked for any development initiative, we also are targeting them such that if they get an opportunity, then they are ready to participate in that opportunity.
What else are you doing, CEO, to ensure that the local youth has job opportunities and their businesses continue to get assistance from different stakeholders?
So a part of the mandate of the council, as I've already alluded earlier on, is to coordinate initiatives that are aimed at empowering young people in the country. If you read through the National Youth Policy, you will find that it's one of the indicators that there is need to establish a coordination framework and a youth development consortium. This is a structure that brings together all the partners that are doing something to assist the youth in the country on a committee setup. So this platform is then going to bring the young people associations and also the development partners and also government institutions that are doing something to assist the young people in the country. To somehow from time to time, they would meet, say maybe in a quarterly basis, to look into progress that they've done against the development, the coordination framework that will be put in place. And they will be able then to report and also to review programs if they are making any progress or if they are not making any progress, and to see how they can improve that going forward. So the council is going to work on this to bring together all the partners such that they agree on how best they can put this structure. It's going to involve all the structures of the young people from the regions to the national level as well.
There is a dire need, CEO, for employment opportunities. There is also a dire need for entrepreneurship, especially support for young people in the country as they make the biggest part of the population. I want you now to speak to them and encourage them, tell them what they must do in the meantime, whilst you are still working on all the things that you've mentioned, whilst you are working on this strategy.
I would like to invite all businesses in the country, the private sector, and also the public sector, to try and assist all the young people in the country in terms of giving them an opportunity to work. They are really struggling in as far as finding job opportunities. But if we are standing up as a country and everyone has got an opportunity to assist, I would like to invite everyone to say, give an opportunity, maybe in terms of on a voluntary basis, but also incorporating the fact that they also need to work up and pay the bus fares to attend, to go to work. Create job opportunities for the young people. I'd also like to invite the young people, those that have got an opportunity to go to tertiary institutions or to go to school, make use of that opportunity. Your parents are paying some money for you to attend school, such that when you finish school, you are able to start something for yourself to make a living or to apply for a job opportunity. So make good use of the education opportunity that you are given. And also for those that have finished their education, it's a pity that some of you did very well in their education, but they pass well, but they are not getting some job opportunities. I'd like to encourage you not to give up.
Thank you so much, CEO, for joining us on the show. We are hoping that the strategy that you've put forward will really trickle down to the young people, especially now because they need employment opportunities and they really need support for their entrepreneurship activities. Let this be an action plan that they will really feel that will really, really change their lives.
All right, that was the ENYC CEO Lwazimamba unpacking his strategy to support of Eswatini. For now, let's go to today's financial markets with Senator Sbia. Good afternoon, Mrs. Bia. Thank you for tuning in. So let's go straight into it. Firstly, let's take a look at international markets this afternoon, this Monday afternoon. What is happening in Europe and what is happening around Asia?
Thank you, Lou. So maybe if we start in the US, one interesting thing is, it's been a pretty good Black Friday for the markets in the US, and then you also couple that with the fact that we are just from Thanksgiving week on that in the US, so the markets have really just been performing stellar or based on that background, with all of the indices closing at record highs, and the S&P 500 has actually touched that 6,000 mark, closing at 6,032 yesterday on Friday before on Friday last week on Black Friday and the Thanksgiving weekend in the US, where the markets were relatively doing very well in the US. And then if you cross over to London, the Eurozone and the greater Eurozone, what we are noticing there is, there's still that purchasing managers index data that was released across the whole of Europe. And actually, that index actually pulled the overall CAC 40 downwards by some 29 points. That's purely because it did show that this was the sharpest cut in orders for France's manufacturing sector. Though in Germany, still those orders are going down, but relatively the market stayed on a positive note, and with London relatively mute, not much changes there happening, but still on that positive, largely due to that issue around that. And that manufacturing purchasing indexes order weighing in on the markets today. And then when we come into Asia, you will see that Asia is relatively green across the board, and that growth is driven by the story that in China, in the mainland, if you look at the Shanghai Composite Index, it has actually grown some 32 points, and in Hang Seng, the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong has actually also grown some 126 points, and we're also seeing some 300-point growth in the Nikkei there. So first up, there is the issue that we've seen, for the first time in quite a few months, we've seen
We seem to have lost Mrs. Bia. He was giving us today's market analysis, just taking us through international markets. He started in the US, where the markets show that, particularly, he started in Asia, where there are economic growth concerns in Asia, particularly in India, and also the European Central Bank is expected to continue cutting interest rates this month, and these are the statistics. Oh, Mrs. Bia is back. Welcome back, Mrs. Bia. Take us through the EU markets.
Thank you. So as I was saying before I got cut, if you look into the European markets, we're seeing those purchasing orders not performing very well, but still some optimism around the fact that we are expecting rates to cut. Just the trajectory that we are not sure of right now until and unless we get a clearer footing of what Trump is going to do. But we do know that in this meeting, the rates are actually going to cut. It's just going to start slowing down towards the end of the year or earlier next year when Trump takes office. And then in Asia, again, we've seen a positive story with Chinese orders also on the improvement, and that has actually buoyed the markets across Asia, and also the fact that the markets are waiting to see how that trade war, the new Trump administration is going to really work on those issues. But we do know that Mexico and Canada and quite a number of countries have come out to say that, these trade wars are not going to benefit anyone. So we just don't know whether Trump will soften up a bit in terms of that stance. And then coming into South Africa, what we're seeing is, the markets have actually improved. That's purely because if you look at the fundamentals, they seem to be pointing in the right direction. And, there is that weakening dollar, that weakening rand, but it has not affected markets much in terms of that fundamental, in terms of, we know there's no load shedding, the basics seem to be working for the South African economy, and we're entering December. So we do expect the retailers to really benefit off of that month of December. And then when coming into Eswatini, the markets remain mute. And then when we go into gold, we can see that, because of the weakening price because of the strengthening dollar, gold is losing a bit there, but still remaining above the 2,600 mark, which is still a very strong position. And Brent crude today has actually gained a bit, purely because even though we are waiting to see a ceasefire deal come out of the Middle East, we continuing to see Israel continuing with their bombardment on Lebanon. So that now has actually just thrown some uncertainty into the region, because we are waiting to see how that ceasefire is going to look like. And it seems like Israel is going for a ceasefire that does not necessarily, they are stopping bombardments in Lebanon. So they want a ceasefire, but they still want to go after Hamas. And then when you look into the currencies, you can see that across the board, the currency is relatively weak. That's because we're seeing a strengthening dollar, and we are also seeing a strengthening euro. And then there's also the geopolitical tensions. And we know Trump's latest rant in terms of tariffs against the BRIC countries. So that's why we are seeing that movement at 18.16 against the dollar, 19.11 against the euro, and 8.27 against the Japanese yen. If you notice, against the yen, we are actually at a very strong position, but relatively on a day-to-day basis, you can see that on today's day trade, the numbers are a bit lower. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. B. And that's it for today's market analysis with Sanil SB. I've come to the end of Market View this afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow at exactly 2 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.